Welcome back, friends and family of the internet, fellow watchers on the wall. What is happening in this country? I have seen some of the most insane crap since the Charlie Kirk assassination. I think we can all agree it feels like nobody is normal anymore, from the right to the left and from the left to the right. Insanity has taken complete control of everything. Update right now, there's a massive fire at a Chevron refinery outside of Los Angeles. Why that caught my attention was in August, at the end of August, a massive fire broke out at a refinery in my community in South Louisiana, poisoning 100 miles of river, and nobody is doing anything to clean it. It is happening more and more. Train derailments, just blowing up refineries, leaking refineries, having their pipes leak into agricultural fields, PFAS finding their way into our food supply. We are being systematically poisoned by these ancient old plants that nobody maintains properly. And the EPA is just, you know, the long arm of the law of all of these plants and organizations. I've done a video connecting the two. Folks, I wrote a book with a friend of mine, Growing Under a Poisoned Sky. It will explain to you what is going on with the chemicals in the air, the water, the land, how to clean your water, how to clean your soil, how to clean your body. You can pick it up at Amazon, online at Walmart, Barnes and Nobles, even on Kindle. We have to get into this video today because I've got quite a bit of information set aside for you guys that I think it's very important we discuss. We all know what President Trump recently did. He said Antifa is a domestic terrorist group, and they are. Just the other day, they actually tried to and threatened to kill a young man, and they called it the Charlie Kirk. We're going to Charlie Kirk you. I have a problem with that. I bet a lot of you do too. And that's why we're going to get into it. By the way, YouTube does not pay me. They say that my content is harmful. I find that to be ridiculous. But if you'd like to sew into what we do here, please look at the top of comments or even in the description of the video where you will find all of these videos and all of these articles. Exclusive. U.S. Army researcher suspended after Laura Loomer exposed him as the founder of the ICE tracking app. This was October 2nd. Okay, this was just yesterday that this came out. If you follow Laura Loomer, you know that she brought this information out like September 30th. Okay, so this gentleman right here, he actually created the Red Dot app, which is what all these Antifa and all these criminal illegal aliens and their gangs are using to not only target ICE, like with what happened in Texas, the young boy on top shooting up the ICE agents. It was created by somebody working for the US Army. Now, this is all tied together with the government shutdown right now. If you understand how our president works, he's going to get his way. And he has tried to get these people who should be on trial for espionage and all kinds of stuff out of the Army, out of the federal government. And he keeps getting what I call being cock-blocked by liberal leftist judges. Well, you're going to see with this government shutdown that Trump's going to get them out of office one way or the other. The Democrats played right into his hand. Thank God for that. But let's see what this gentleman did. On Wednesday, a high-level sources within the U.S. Army confirmed to investigative journalist Laura Loomer that Nicholas Waitwich, the lead scientist for the Human-Guided Machine Learning Branch at the U.S. Army Research Laboratory in Adelphia, Maryland, has been immediately suspended following her bombshell exclusive report saying that it was his company that developed the Red Dot app, a tool designed to track and alert illegal immigrants about the location of U.S. immigrant and custom enforcement agents. Folks, let me tell you something. This dude should be arrested. This is treason. It's happening inside the U.S. military. You're seeing people. In fact, I'm going to show you a president of a foreign country telling our military, don't listen to Trump. Put your guns down. We've got a big problem. Now, this is Nick Shirley. I'm going to show you both sides of Nick. I have promoted him on my channel before, but I had some people raise a question, and I'm just asking questions. How does this kid always find where this stuff is happening as it's happening? In other words, like there's nothing there, then he's there talking and bam, all of a sudden there's a big riot or a big whatever. Some people say he's controlled opposition. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what I'm saying. I do want to say this. I think it's very irresponsible for someone his age to be going out into the areas that he goes out into to investigate what he investigates without armed security. I feel that way because if something happens to this kid, it may be the stick that breaks the camel's back, if you catch my drift. Right now, I feel like there is a group of people within inside the Republican Party that is pushing for us to arm up Christian soldiers. And I did a video on that. And some people were highly offended and some people totally got what I was saying. There's nothing different between hardcore right and hardcore left. They want the exact same thing, and that is a civil war. So I'm asking, Nick, if you are true blue, like I suspect you probably are, stop putting yourself directly in danger, because if something happens, a lot of somethings are going to follow. Let's hear what happened to him recently.
An independent journalist, Nick Shirley, who's been out there in front of that ICE facility many, many nights. Nick, thank you for being with us. And I wanted to start off this segment with something that I think is going to shock a lot of our viewers. I watched this on social media the other day. This is you being confronted by an agitator out in front of that ICE building who threatens you with violence. Listen here.
What are you doing? Why are you so mad? I didn't do anything.
You did.
What did I do?
Walk.
I haven't done anything.
Walk. Do not come back.
Watch out.
You come back, I'm gonna smoke you, dude.
Really?
Yes, really. I'm
Why?
gonna smash that camera.
You have DHS watching you right there, lasered on you. You have a sniper lasered on you right now.
I don't give a
So he said that he is going to smoke you if you don't get out of there. And then it looked like DHS snipers came to your rescue. They zeroed in on him and lit him up with one of their lasers. That's what eventually got him to back down. But for people who say that there's not violence going on in front of these facilities, what do you say?
It's a complete lie. There's lots of violence going on. That's just one of the many threats I got that night. And when I was walking back to my car, another person pulled out their gun and threatened me, saying, "You want to be Kirk Jr.?" I mean, these people are very dangerous, and they're unhinged. Just the other night, a woman got beat up. She got punched in the face out there, and you're seeing it. These people they think they can get away with anything. They've been out there for over 100 days, yelling, screaming, terrorizing, and the police are nowhere to be seen, and the ICE and the ICE are all on their own out there.
Yeah, you know, we heard that ERO officer that Bill Malugin was talking to a moment ago saying that Portland police aren't responding. I don't know if this is the woman to whom you were referring just a moment ago, but another reporter was out there, and she says that she got assaulted. Listen to her story.
Last night, I got assaulted, and I immediately ran to a Portland police officer, hunted down the suspect, chased her through the streets. Portland police refused to come in and make an arrest. Imagine my anger when I go online after doing all of that about an hour ago, and I see Portland police put out a bolo asking for the public's help in identifying my assault suspect.
So she says that she had the person in her sights, but the Portland police wouldn't respond. But later on, they said, "Oh, help us find this person." Is that typical of what you're seeing there?
Yeah, the police are not intervening to help the people out there. If they're reacting after the fact that it's happened, and you have the governor who was marching with these people just hours before their big rally they just recently had, and the police, they're not there. They're nowhere to be found. They're not there to protect any of the reporters or to protect anybody, and it is literally lawless in that section of Portland, Oregon.
So why aren't the police responding? Are they just basically saying this is a hands-off situation, you're on your own?
From what I understand is that the governor there and the mayor, they've pretty much sided with Antifa, saying that they have the right to be there and that there's nothing wrong that's happening. But you're seeing people get assaulted, and if you go there and they think you're the opposition, you'll have a mob of people all dressed in black come after you. And just like we saw in the video, the one guy said he wanted to smoke me, basically saying he wanted to shoot me and kill me.
Right. So we've got dueling narratives here. Here's what President Trump wrote on Truth Social on Wednesday. He said, quote, "The governor of Oregon must be living in a dream world. Portland is a never-ending disaster. Many people have been badly hurt and even killed. It's run like a third world country." And then here's what the Oregon governor, Tina Kotek, says. Listen to this.
There is no insurrection. There is no threat to national security. And there is no need for military troops in our major city. Military service members should be dedicated to real emergencies. They are not needed here.
So out of those two narratives.
Okay, so I did some investigative research myself, friends and family of the internet, and I want to share it with you. First off, let's talk about okay, let's start with this. Portland, it has one of the highest crime rates in the United States. It is known for its extremely high crime rate. All right. Kidnappings and rapes, especially, even though they claim that homicides have gone down, it's still higher than the average city inside the United States. So when they say that there's no insurrection, it's not dangerous, everything's great here, they're lying. Statistics do not. The second thing, yes, the National Guard can be deployed to protect federal buildings, especially in response to threats or civil unrest. So when you hear people say it is unconstitutional, we're having a constitutional crisis in America. No, we're not. That's exactly what the National Guard is actually for. It is to protect America. Now, this is the Colombian president. Watch what he said.
The U.S. State Department taking swift action against Colombian President Gustavo Petro, rescinding his visa for these remarks he made at a protest.
Le pido a todos los soldados.
I ask all the soldiers of the Army of the United States not to point their guns at people. Disobey the orders of Trump. Obey the orders of humanity.
The State Department writing on X, quote, "We will revoke Petro's visa due to his reckless and incendiary actions."
I mean, what the heck, you guys? Half of his prisons and mental hospitals have been emptied into the United States. Colombia is a friggin' cesspool. Why are you in America trying to rally the troops? Now, remember what I told you. You're going to hear from the radical right, the ones that want civil war, the people, the woke right is what I call them, neoconservatives, telling you that AIPAC is the most dangerous domestic group inside of America. That's why they don't have to register with FARA. They're not a foreign lobbying group. They're a domestic lobbying group. But they're going to tell you Israel's the most dangerous country to America. Really? Because I have a video proving, it's boring, but it's factual, how much money the Islamic nations are dumping into America. And this is what nobody's talking about. Listen what just recently happened to 10 universities across America to continue receiving federal dollars. Listen to what they have to do. And by the way, all these universities they discuss are taking millions of dollars from Islamic terrorist states.
5:36 right now. 9 major U.S. colleges and universities have been asked to sign a pledge in exchange for expanded access to federal funding.
Now, the White House sent letters to a mix of public and private institutions Wednesday. They include UT Austin, Vanderbilt, the University of Pennsylvania, Brown, and 5 others. The document asks universities to stick to strict gender roles and asks that no more than 15% of a university's undergrad population participate in the student visa exchange program.
It also bans factors like race, nationality, and political views from being considered in admissions. They also say schools have to freeze tuition for 5 years, cap the enrollment of international students to 15%, and commit to strict definitions of gender. In a statement from the UT system, which says in part, quote, "We welcome the new opportunity presented to us, and we look forward to work with the Trump administration on it," end quote. Here's what a UT student and professor had to say on the matter.
I think in these times we have to support each other where and when we can, and it would be nice if the university could set that example, but I just don't think if they decide to do this, I don't think they would be doing that.
I think it's a great opportunity for universities across the country, for university leaders and politicians to openly discuss what this is, what it means, and why they should or should not move forward with it.
Brown University had already reached a $50 million deal with the Trump administration to restore the school's federal funding. The University of Pennsylvania also reached an agreement regarding transgender athletes.
How about this wild story, okay? Residents in...
So basically, right, what is happening is President Trump is saying right now, okay, let me just go back a second. A lot of people do not realize that undergrad students from foreign nations are taking the majority of slots because 1, they have to pay like 3 times the amount of money. And 2, they come over here, they take out federal loans, federal grants, get their degrees, leave and never pay them back. Who pays back loans if the people who take them out don't? You and I. I don't know about you, but I'm debt free. And thank God for it, because my husband has a brain aneurysm and YouTube doesn't pay me. But it makes me mad, folks. I don't want to pay other people's debt. I paid mine off. Pay your own. By the way, if you enjoy this type of content, please look in the top of comments and row in our boat. So this is also very interesting. We have a real problem with the illegal aliens in this country. Watch this.
Iowa's $300,000 superintendent turns out that he wasn't just an illegal immigrant with a gun charge, but he lied about being a doctor.
School district officials say 2 years ago, Roberts claimed he had a doctorate from Morgan State University, but they say records showed he never obtained it. Despite the discrepancy, the district still hired him. Now MIT saying Roberts' claim he was an MBA student there is also false. And George Washington University saying the Principal of the Year award Roberts boasted he received does not exist.
He illegally registered to vote in Baltimore.
In Des Moines, school superintendent Ian Roberts, he was arrested, you remember, by ICE last week, accused of overstaying his visa. And now Maryland lawmakers demanding answers tonight after discovering he is still listed as an active Maryland voter.
Roberts never actually voted here, but the Freedom Caucus says that doesn't excuse the fact that he is still registered in the state of Maryland.
And got hired to run Iowa's largest school district. And when ICE came calling, he ran with a loaded gun in the car. Let's talk about it.
All this will be listed, but this is what I'm telling you. How in the world, Iowa, you ought to be furious. How many of your teachers aren't actually teachers? They're not gonna check the credentials of their superintendent. Guarantee you some of those teachers are not real teachers. Now this is interesting. Palestine, right?
احنا في دين الاسلام رجال مجاهدين من اجل اما النصر واما الشهاده، احنا ما خرجنا الا لنصره هذا الدين، وبكره راح تشوفوا رجال غزه كيف راح يحكموا العالم كله، والله العظيم غير نحكم العالم كله. احنا في دين الاسلام رجال مجاهدين من اجل اما النصر واما.
We're going to take the world over. The MAGA movement is under attack from within. I've said this and said this and said this. She says, at Denise D. Zoza joined me to discuss how grifters and Pied Pipers are trying to poison young conservatives with bogus investigations and conspiracy theories about Israel, fracturing our base and helping the left gain ground over MAGA. That is exactly what neoconservatives are doing. Candace Owens was a liberal all of her life. And then within 1 year, she's in TPUSA. If you can't see controlled opposition when it's there, that's on you. Yet the low IQ anti-Semitic crowd screams nonstop about the Israel lobby, which actually makes up less than 1% of all lobbying in DC. That is true. I fact checked that in a video. You are free to go and watch it. They pretend like Jewish Americans like myself, who were born in the USA and have always supported President Trump, are not really Americans, that we are spies who should be kicked out of the US for simply being Jewish. Meanwhile, Qatar and other Islamic regimes spend billions of dollars infiltrating our universities, politicians, and US tech companies. That's the truth. These frauds never talk about. And I agree with her. Nobody talks about it. I talked about it.
You know, when that happened, going back a generation to the Reagan years, there was a kind of cadre of conservatives, notably William F. Buckley, but Reagan himself, and they recognized that there was a kind of fever swamp that needed to be cleared out of the right. This should not actually be part of mainstream conservative discussion, because when you are blaming the fact that you're down and out, when you're mobilizing the worst human impulses of envy and channeling and saying the Jews are responsible, that's why I'm doing so badly. It's not that the Jews are smarter than me. It's not just that they work harder, they're more industrious, they focus on education and entrepreneurship. No, it's basically because they're wicked and I'm virtuous. So these impulses have been in human nature a long time. They have had a presence on the right, but my point is that sort of the conservative guardians, and I mentioned again Reagan and Buckley, like drove this out. And what's happened is that we don't have those guardians anymore. And in a sense, what's happening is that I think the Pied Pipers of this new movement are realizing that there are a lot of down and out young people whose lives are really messed up. And, you know, when that happens, they look for someone to blame. So they're finding that they're getting a receptive audience. And look, part of it is also that, you know, institutions have earned our distrust. The CDC lies to us. The FBI lies to us. So people become very distrustful. They're very willing to believe even the most preposterous theories.
Yeah, they
and
are.
So it is a little hard to believe that, you know, that you have rational people who listen to one of Candace's, quote, investigations. These are not investigations. They're just wild allegations, sort of leading questions, bogus investigations that never produce a single fact, a single reliable theory that you can work with. They never reach any conclusion. And the moment they run out of gas, a new incendiary accusation comes in its place. I mean, there's an element that's almost of dark comedy here. You know, it is ultimately an intellectualism and an iconoclasm that is absolutely for stupid people, because there's no rational basis for it. None of these people really defend their ideas either. I mean, with Tucker, it's a little different because I think he's operating in a more kind of elusive way. But even with Tucker, he uses the ventriloquist journalism technique. By that, I mean, he'll have a guest on, and he'll let the guest say something really outrageous. We should have allied with Hitler against Stalin. Tucker, well, that's very interesting. I never thought of that. You know, now, if you want to argue
we should rehabilitate Hitler. Or, you know, when I think of Osama bin Laden, I think of sending condolences to his family. And come to think of it, Hamas is not actually a jihadist terrorist organization. It's more of a political group.
Right, but why would, think of it, what makes, Tucker's a pretty smart guy. Why would he do that, right? Now, he'll say something like, well, you know, this was really discussed around World War II. Actually, no. After World War II, Patton and others said, now that we've crushed Hitler, maybe we should go on to Moscow and defeat Stalin. That's a whole different thing from saying we should have allied with Hitler in the first place. That was not a respectable point of view. And yet there's a sort of pretense, and a lot of young people don't know any better. So they're like, oh, yeah, well, that's interesting. Well, maybe George Patton was on my side, and that's been suppressed by the media. So I am watching all this with dismay.
I am too. Y'all should go watch his movie, The Dragon. It just came out. I'm going to go watch it. For every $1 Israel spends on U.S. lobbying through FARA, Saudi Arabia spends more than $300. The UAE spends over $200, and Qatar spends about $10. Just to show you. I love this image. Imagine being homeschooled by this. Pray for her kids. Because on October 1st, she says, starting homeschooling this week, just tried to oversimplify the concept of being banished from paradise for eating fruit. And my son goes, but mommy, eating fruit is actually good. Glad someone is pointing out this tactic. It's a favorite of conspiracy theorists because it shifts the burden of proof for their own claim from themselves to others. And then if it's countered or disproven, they just move on to the next claim. The Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson School of Journalism. Step 1, make an outrageous claim with no proof. Step 2, demand you disprove it.
He, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion.
In June, for example, during the 12-day war, such as it was with Iran, the U.S. and Israel versus Iran, bombing on all sides, during that short conflict, there are a bunch of Israeli Defense Force officers in the Pentagon that week. And during that week, they enraged American Pentagon staff by just barging into meetings, giving orders, making demands, and nobody did anything about it. How can a foreign military officer barge into military headquarters, even if invited, but barge into a meeting and start demanding, we want this, we want that, you need to get on this? Huh?
Can you guys answer? Did he express that?
Ask anyone who works at the Pentagon.
I can watch that again.
About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Points, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay, Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion?
God,
in June, for example, during the 12-day war, such as it was with Iran, the U.S. and Israel versus Iran, bombing on all sides, during that short conflict, there are a bunch of Israeli Defense Force officers in the Pentagon that
is
week.
there, Tucker?
And during that week, they enraged American Pentagon staff by just barging into meetings, giving orders, making demands, and nobody did anything about it.
Nobody.
How can a foreign military officer barge into military headquarters, even if invited, but barge into a meeting and start demanding, we want this, we want that, you need to get on this? Huh?
Can you guys answer? Did he express that?
Ask anyone who works at the Pentagon.
They're both of them. Where's your proof? You make such a bold claim. Both of them. With those claims should have come the proof. Not, we have to disprove what either of you said. If what you said had merit, you'd have brought the proof right then. And anybody that believes different, you're on the wrong channel. The civil war within the Western Church over Israel and the Jewish people will be the ugliest the church has ever seen. Let me state very clearly, Christian Zionists stand on the side of the Bible. Christian suppressionists, those who believe the church has replaced Israel, stand on the side of Israel's enemies and should repent while they still can. Amen. We're fixing to have a bloody civil war fought on religious ideologies. You're going to see the Jesuits and the Mormons on the side of the pro-Palestine. They're going to link up. It's going to leave the rest of the Christians, because I'm not watching Jews get killed on my watch just because somebody wants that. She's still doing it. Now that he's dead, Let me tell you what Charlie thought. Yeah. And then this one's very interesting. Wow. Tennessee is using a loophole through the foster system to bring illegal aliens into America.
The state taxpayers have it. So the Tennessee Department of Children's Services is taking undocumented kids and they're putting them in state's custody in the state foster care system, which means the state taxpayers, that's coming out of the state budget. And then they are assisting these kids into getting what's a court order from the juvenile court that says that they're abandoned, and then they get a what's called an order of abandonment, and then they get a special circumstances juvenile immigration status, and then of course once they get that, they can bring their family over or do whatever. This is so clever on their part. You've got to remember how clever and how smart cartel immigration is. They make a lot of money on this. So I finally got my hands on a court order. I got my hands on a court order, and I have a hard copy of it, and it is all about how they did this right here in Davidson County. I have told state legislators, I've told Congress people, this is totally illegal. Plus, I have phone conversations stating that Commissioner Quinn, DCS Commissioner Quinn, is well aware of it, and she is central to it because she has told other providers to report to her if they have any issues with undocumented kids. Okay, huge. It is trafficking. I mean,
yeah, so they found another loophole. How to get these kids in? They get them in here, then they get those kids' families here, and one way or the other, we're just being invaded because they're using our laws, our loopholes. By the time we realize what they're doing and we close that loophole, they've moved on to another one. This is a full-out invasion without a weapon being shot. So the next step in their plan is to tear the conservative party into two factions. The woke right, the anti-Israel people, will side with the pro-Palestinian Antifa group than the rest of us. Watch. It's coming. Get prepared. This ain't your mama's America no more, baby. And we're fixing to be in the fight of our lives. Like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you guys tomorrow.